Recorded at the WNDU 16 News Now studios, this is the South Bend Tribune's Pot of Gold Notre Dame football podcast. Here are your hosts, columnist Tom Noie, Notre Dame football beat writer Mike Berardino, and WNDU's Jackson Neill.
It is over, finally. August 19th, 2025. Who had 12:30 p.m. on August 19th, 2025 in the Notre Dame quarterback pool? Jackson?
Mine was tomorrow.
Yours was the 20th.
Yeah.
You were going on a Wednesday.
Yeah, I messed up on that one.
What about you, Mr. Berardino?
I walked out of Sunday's gathering thinking, well, they're just going to stretch it all the way to Tuesday. Marcus will step to the next Tuesday.
Tuesday of the following week.
I thought make Miami guess as long as you could. I don't see the benefit of going public at this point if you're going to take it. I mean, just let it linger for a little bit more. But great for our podcast.
Yes.
They knew. I think they knew. Notre Dame called Jackson and said, hey, do you have that podcast studio booked at 2 o'clock on Tuesday? And he said, yes, but as a matter of fact, we do. They said, well, we're going to have some quarterback news to announce at 12:30.
I mean, it pays to have sources. You guys know that.
And so, without further ado, without burying the lead, who wants to talk about the captain? No. We'll talk about the captains. We'll talk about the positions later. But first, we start with the obvious, the quarterback situation. After 15 practices, after 20 days roughly, of preseason camp, Notre Dame has a starting quarterback for the August 31st game at Miami, Sunday night, Labor Day Sunday night, Hard Rock Stadium. It will be CJ Carr, who has won the job over Kenny Minchey. Neither of them has ever made a college football start. CJ Carr has not thrown a pass, completed a pass, run with the ball. He hasn't done anything. He's appeared in one game. That was against Purdue last year. Third game of the year, that wipeout of the Boilermakers in West Lafayette. That was the only time he played. Kenny Minchey, again, just like CJ Carr, very limited experience, game experience. So CJ Carr has won the quarterback battle over Kenny Minchey. And like we talked about earlier, it was almost 48 hours, almost on the dot, that Marcus Freeman stepped to the podium on Sunday afternoon inside Notre Dame Stadium media room and said, still evaluating the quarterbacks. Well, guess what? Jersey scrimmage on Sunday, evaluation on Sunday afternoon, evaluation Monday. I believe Tuesday today is an off day for Notre Dame football, so they have a quarterback and off we go. Thoughts, questions, comments, concerns, anything?
I mean, at the end of the day, it's a decision that I thought they were going to arrive at anyways. I mean, I thought they were going to announce it on Sunday, but, I kind of get it. Announce it in the middle of the week, get the engagement on your Twitter or whatever. But at this point, I mean, I think it's not that surprising, and I think that it kind of came out exactly how I expected this to. I mean, it was a little closer, but CJ Carr is the QB, and I think he's going to be one of the better arms that the Notre Dame offense has seen in quite some time. And
what leads you to believe that about CJ Carr? Because we've not seen anything about CJ Carr that says that's a top-level frontline quarterback in college football.
I mean, just from what we saw, those couple of throws, we're playing some of them here from the spring game, the two along the sideline, everyone knows what I'm talking about. Those two throws are just flashes of potential. There's one of them right there, putting it right where only the receiver can get it. Obviously, there's a lot more than just making two throws to being a consistent college quarterback, but those flashes of potential have been seen there. And like you mentioned, we've seen not a ton of experience from either guy. So those flashes are kind of all we have to go on right now.
I get the sense, and I think we always had the sense, that Kenny Minchey was not going to win Week 1 starting role by decision, split decision, or even unanimous decision. He needed a knockout. He needed there's been that much buildup for CJ Carr. Going back to what Marcus Freeman described way back on CJ Carr's signing day.
Who remembers that?
Where he talked about sitting out on the veranda with CJ and just
did he say
getting
veranda?
to know him. Whatever that thing is, that the little awesome little spot
at
there,
the Goog,
the party deck
outside
yes.
Freeman's office.
Yes.
Okay.
And remember, he said, during that conversation, the thought went through his mind: this is the quarterback to lead the program. Not just a guy we'd like to sign, but a generational potential. You don't want to overload with that sort of pressure, but it's been telegraphed. He was one of those who did his signing or his commitment, live on CBS, and then it was all and local media was right there in his home. And you don't do all that for a guy who's just going to get you by, a bridge kind of guy.
And he became a recruiter.
Yes, and that was excellent at it. So he was, really building to the point where even, he enrolled early, came in super early. He was a super, he was there with the December group and goes down to the Sun Bowl. And so you ask, and Jackson's right, we all have that visual of those two passes in the blue gold game, but I go back even more, standing. Do you remember at the Sun Bowl, Jackson? Do you remember when we got to see CJ just running some drills and just whipping some quick swing passes to the running backs? And I have video of that, and I remember being able to hear, I don't think I'm making this up, I could hear the whistle of the ball. Just one of those where a guy's he didn't have to it was just kind of just that. He didn't have to wind up even. And it just was a tight spiral, and it was it was just a basic drill down in El Paso, Texas, and it's like, well, that's different. That's not wobbly. That's not a prayer.
Yeah,
that's a guy who's got a gift. And so you're betting on the gift. Kenny Minchie's gifted, and CJ Carr may have this other gift that they've been counting on and anticipating going back to the recruitment cycle early first half of 2022. So as long as Marcus Freeman has been a head coach, he's been imagining CJ Carr being the guy someday. That day is about to, I guess it's here.
Why was it important to do it today?
Jackson?
Why was it important to do it today?
Was it? I believe this is long overdue. Like at least 2 days
That's what
overdue.
you wrote.
This is long overdue. My thought process of why they did it today, honestly, is they just wanted to be able to put the news out themselves. It's convenient for them. We're not talking to the media, talking with them for another week or so, kind of gives them time to put out the news, have it sit out there for a week before the press really is able to get a hold with it. I think that's probably the biggest reason, not really a great football reason, because you're right, I would have had this announced a while ago.
Well, the longer it stayed close, and the reporting from other outlets last week, Minchie had a slight lead. I think that was maybe just to put a little that pressure, see how CJ Carr would do on the Sunday in the Jersey scrimmage. And 100 plays total. They kind of split the reps. The ones, according to Mike Denbrock, sounded like almost 50-50 still split. That's what we were told. And so they had to grade it. They had to grade it exhaustively all night Sunday. I mean, they didn't get out of there till late, I'm sure. And it would have been disingenuous and just not fair to Kenny Minchie to come to the press conference right after the Jersey scrimmage and say, yeah, it's whoever.
It's over.
Yeah, that wouldn't have been right. Football coaches are going to go deep into the details on these things. And as Marcus Freeman's always said, it's not just about where the ball went in determining the decision-making. It's sometimes where the decision was to throw the ball out of bounds. The decision was to check down. Nothing wrong with that. And so apparently CJ Carr is making enough of those. We really can't say with any accuracy, based on what we've seen in August, whether who we would have gone. We can't. It's not even close. We saw warm-up tosses for the most part. Yep. Everything after July 31st. Last time we saw CJ Carr throwing against anything but air, pretty much it was 3 interceptions, and one of them was out of his receiver's hands, and Don Schuler had one, and Tay Johnson had 2 of them, and I don't know. It's this was the chalk all along. The question now, the fans will worry about how soon do you lose Kenny Minchie to a portal. I don't think it's anything before next spring, and they're working on that portal. I think we're going to end up with just a one portal situation, we hope, in the spring, and so that way at least he gets he's that much closer to graduation. He'll be able to make an informed decision if everything goes as planned. CJ Carr goes on, wins a national championship. Well, Kenny Minchie will have 2 more years of eligibility somewhere else, and he may very well use it. But that wasn't the thing you had to decide on at this point.
You decide on CJ Carr, but at the same time, you have to get with Kenny Minchey and say, look, I know it's the proverbial one play away, but we, again, like you said, none of us in the media, none of us really in maybe the coaching staff, they have a little bit better idea because they see way more practice and can evaluate better than we can. We have no idea what CJ Carr is going to do, who he's going to be starting August 31st down in South Florida. So if you're Kenny Minchey, you're like, hey, coach, I still believe I'm the guy for the job, and I'm here if you need me. Mm-hmm. Like that. That would be more of a stand-up guy, Kenny Minchey being more of a stand-up guy than saying, I lost the job, all right, that's it, I'm out of here. I gave it my best shot. There's going to be somewhere along the line in 2025, regardless of what happens in South Florida, regardless of what happens 2 weeks later in South Bend, there's going to come a time along this road that Notre Dame football is going to need Kenny Minchey to do something to help them win in 2025.
But even if that's the case, I still wonder. I mean, that doesn't confirm that Minchey's not going to transfer after this season. I mean, Notre Dame needed Angeli to win and get to the national title last season, and then they decided, we want to move on with him. He transferred. It's the way this college football works, especially after this decision. Unless it's something where they need him for multiple games, I kind of see this as you're picking the future of your program with this quarterback decision. And unless something goes terribly wrong, I just don't see a world in which Minchey's on this roster next year.
The one immediate concern I have about CJ Carr in the next 12 days down in Hard Rock Stadium, is he mobile enough to when a play breaks down, can he go get you a couple of yards? Like, and it's not going to be a situation with Riley Leonard. When it was 3rd and 1, you knew who was going to run the ball. When it was 3rd and 2, when it was 3rd and 3, you know Riley Leonard was going to likely tuck it and run. When CJ Carr drops back to pass, is he mobile enough? Is he field aware enough to go make a play happen when something breaks down?
Well, I think those are two different things, two different style of running. We're talking about
but they can both be
run.
Right.
Yep, designed run. I don't see a lot of CJ Carr designed run.
No.
Escapability when the edge comes flying at you and somehow. The third down back doesn't, they're very good. Aeneas Williams and maybe Nolan James Jr. will get a chance to be that third down blitz pickup. But if that goes awry, is he quick enough to move? My guy Dan Marino all those years he didn't take off down the line, but he knew how to slide up in the pocket. I think CJ Carr is one of those savvy pocket presence guys. That's what you're betting on, that he can just maneuver around and then still keep the eyes downfield. Riley Leonard, the knock on him, as great as he was on the 3rd and 4th downs, is those eyes would drop and he was taking off at the first sign of trouble.
And he was the first one to tell Mike Denbrock, if I don't like it, I'm running.
Yeah.
Like I'm taking off. I'm not going to sit in the pocket. I'm going to run it. CJ Carr maybe will sit in the pocket, but if it totally collapses, again, we don't know what the offensive line is going to look like. We don't know who's available, who's not available. And by the way, what number was Dan Marino?
I have no idea.
You don't know what number Dan Marino was?
Of course I do. I named my kid after him.
And what number is CJ
13,
Carr?
That's right. There you go. I don't know if CJ was a big Marino guy, but yeah, that 13. That'll
13 starting in South Florida.
Slide. That's right. On Dan Marino Boulevard, by the way.
There you go.
He starts on Dan Marino Boulevard. Yeah, Miami's going to be a tough task. We'll get into that a little more.
That's next week.
Still learning that.
Yeah.
Okay. But you had to. They're betting on the upside. They're going back to the chalk, and I do think it had to be a knockout for Minchey. And Kenny Minchey's. The good news for everyone should be that Kenny Minchey apparently made it a tough call. Mm-hmm. And you've got a guy. If CJ Carr gets sacked 6 times in the opener and gets knocked out and has something that he's not available even within that game, well, Kenny Minchey knows what he's doing. He's going to come in. He's going to give you a little different dynamic. I don't think they're looking to play them both. But if it's not, there's not that much of a drop off, and that was why I asked Marcus the question on Sunday about this idea, not just at quarterback, but which is most important of all anywhere, but also safety, also right guard, and whether it's encouraging or somehow discouraging when the gap between option A, option B, sometimes option C and D is so narrow. And that's what I think fans are processing, and we won't really know until we see these guys on the field.
Right.
Was it a case where Minchie and Carr couldn't create separation because that defense is so dominant, and what they were doing is just down there level, more average, more mediocre, or because they both had raised each other's level? And that's the good thing. Marcus Freeman said he always will look to view it as a positive. He said, I see what you're saying. It could be discouraging when we've got two guys and nobody's good enough. So that was the delay. We don't really know all the factors of the delay. I'd say another factor, and we've talked about it on the podcast at the start of the fall, that CJ Carr had to prove that elbow would hold up for all these extra throws he was going to be making under duress, some live sessions for sure, and that elbow didn't hold up last fall. He's done so much work on the rehab of it, and he's got a routine, and that's why he goes out there early before practice. That's why he does his own stretch, and it worked for him. And he certainly got the maturity. He's well beyond his years. You can tell in the maturity. He's always had it. He's not going to be wide-eyed down there. It's just a matter if they can keep him upright. That ball's going down the field.
Marcus Freeman said Sunday he was going to sit with offensive coordinator Mike Denbrock. He was going to sit with quarterback coach Gino Guidugli. But at the end of the day, this, he said, was going to be his decision, meaning Marcus Freeman. Driving over here, I know this is off the cuff. I haven't given you guys 10 seconds to think about it. But in Marcus Freeman's 3 years now, 3+ years as a head coach, where does this rank as one of his toughest decisions? It's got to be near the top, doesn't it?
Yeah, this has to be.
Like, what would be comparable other than...
I mean, the only thing I could think about would be last season. I mean, it really wasn't a decision, but I mean, I know people were asking for Leonard to be benched after the NIU game. I don't know if that was ever really going to happen, but I think that would be, I guess, a comparable decision, not making really much change after a performance like that. But I mean, the only other decision I'm thinking of is like Anthony Knapp at left tackle last year, and that's not a quarterback decision. So yeah, I think this is in my mind the biggest decision. I'm
going to go Jared Parker. We don't know exactly how all that went, but they go way back, and Jared Parker went from, in a matter of a week or so, from no staff changes happening. It's Chancey Stuckey exited, and then suddenly Jared Parker's taking that great opportunity at Troy.
That's a head coach, though.
Yeah, but yes, that's true. But it's not gone that well. Troy was not exactly loaded forever.
Jared Parker has appeared on some hot seat lists. That's how bad. That's how much it hasn't gone. That's how badly it's gone.
That program is not.
It's rough.
Yeah.
No, and they remain very good friends. Jared's been quoted saying great things about Notre Dame and Marcus Freeman. But when Mike Denbrock's availability became clear, I just reading between the lines that had to be such a tough call, and that's one where you challenge everything, and you sometimes even challenge your most trusted, longest-serving friendships. Now he'd worked closely with Denbrock at Cincinnati too, and that's worked out great. Mm-hmm. That is a championship piece as your OC. We'll find out if Chris Ash is a championship piece as a DC. He was as a co-DC a decade or 11 years ago at Ohio State, long ago in his career. But he knows how to arrange the pieces when they're that talented, and they are that talented here.
What do you need to see August 31st in South Florida from CJ Carr to say they made the right call?
Limited mistakes. That. I don't care if there's not a throw that wows me like that in the blue gold game. I don't care if that doesn't happen.
10 for 17 for 135 yards, 2 scores and no picks.
I'll take that.
Good place to start.
I will take that. It's because you have to look at the rest of this offense, and by that I mean the running backs. That needs to be the focus of this offense. I would say the best running back room in the country. And also, too, another thing, this receiver room is not completely proven in a lot of ways. And Riley Leonard, as much as he was a great quarterback, did not really give them much opportunity, the guys who come back from last year, to show themselves off because he wasn't throwing the ball like that. So to expect CJ Carr to come in there and light the world on fire, they don't even need that to win a game like this Miami one. They just need him to not make mistakes. And that's something that Freeman said, consistency, a guy he can trust. A guy he can trust is the guy that just takes the 3-yard out and doesn't throw the interception on third down.
I want a little more than that. I want that ball pushing.
This
I
guy
want that
is
ball pushing
great.
down the field. I'll take. And I understand
22 of 27. For
you got
two.
well. You don't want what Brady Quinn recounted for me from his opener.
No.
His very first start was 59 passes down at
No.
Purdue.
Something's going
and
wrong.
They still only put up 10 points. But no, this should be more limited. I could see something eking into the 20s, depending on how the game goes, depending on how that defense performs. You know, even Al Golden's defense would not necessarily have it figured out those first couple of series, and then they'd turn it on. So we'll see how that progresses. But I don't want CJ Carr, if I'm Marcus Freeman and Mike Denbrock, I'm not sending him out there to be the caretaker. I'm reminding him he's got plenty of weapons. He's got people who can get separation. He's got Malachi Fields to the boundary, who should be a physical mismatch every single play when you need him. Don't lock in on people. Go through your progressions. But don't forget, you have a gift. You have a gift attached to your right shoulder, and we're betting on that gift. He also has a super processor between the ears, apparently, and so he's going to be calm. A little different situation here. He's never seen it live, but that's at some point he was going to have to, and here it is.
He has a gift, yes. He shouldn't be a caretaker, true. But this is a really big ask of a first-time starting quarterback of a top 5 team to go on the road, open a season against a team that's ranked in the top 10 and light it up. Like I'm channeling Al Davis on this one. Just win, baby.
Yep.
Just whatever it takes to win. Look at Riley Leonard last year going into Texas A&M, Labor Day weekend, night game, on the road, 90,000 people in the stands. Riley Leonard went 18 of 30 for 158 yards, no touchdowns, 1 sack. Notre Dame wins the game.
He did enough.
Do enough to A, win the game, and B, show everybody why you won the job.
Well, we don't know what this was Corey Heatherman exactly is going to do in his first time as the DC. He's got a totally revamped secondary. He's got people who can get after the passer, and it comes down to this. Are they loading the box or not? And you would have to imagine with Love, and sometimes if they do a 2-back and Price is in there and then one of them splits out, whatever, the box is going to be loaded early on. You're going to test them. You're going to dare them. It's got a first-time starter. You have to imagine CJ Carr will be tested, and what you don't want is 3rd and 5. Well, just hand it to Jeremiah, and then punt. No, 3rd and 5. That's at some point he's going to have to beat you. If you load the box, he's going to beat you down the field, and he has the weapon. He does have the weapons to do it. Even Eli Raridan keeps getting the raves from Mike Denbrock. And CJ, we saw some things in the spring where, even a little short pass over the middle to Eli ended up being something good against that defense, and in very, very much controlled situations. But the last thing you want to do to any first-time starter with that level of talent is say, "Don't get us beat."
No.
He doesn't have to do it himself, but just let it happen, man. Let it happen. And I have to believe Marcus Freeman is going to put him at ease. Denbrock will put him at ease. That voice in there will not be screaming at him Kelly style if he throws an early pick. I'll tell you this, CJ Carr could throw 2 interceptions in the first half, and they could be down by 10. I'd still look forward to seeing he's got what it takes, let's see, to bring you back, to just find the open guy. Don't play scared.
Don't play scared, and this decision will be second guessed, it'll be third guessed, it'll be fourth guessed, right on down line as we go forward. But like you just mentioned, CJ Carr throws 2 picks and they're down 10 at halftime. They are not changing quarterbacks.
Yep.
You can't.
Yeah, we talked about this. We talked about this last episode. Like we said, this is a programmed decision. You can't be going back and forth. This. You got your guy. Unless something goes terribly wrong for multiple weeks, it's CJ Carr.
It is. It has to be. And people were saying, well, this is the reason why Marcus Freeman's not going to name a quarterback, because he's splitting the reps because they're both going to play. You can't play 2 quarterbacks. This is a one-position job. It's for one guy. For now, for the immediate future as we move forward, it's CJ Carr. Go down to South Florida, maximize your weapons, and minimize the mistakes. And let's see where it takes him.
Yep.
The other reason to name the quarterback, and the only surprise to me is that they put it out there. They probably could have sat on it quietly for another week. Really could have done it.
They could have sat on it, but B, there's no way it would have remained quiet.
Yeah.
Not in this day and age. No. Somebody's talking. Even last week, before they had named a starter, you're looking at, if you're looking at social media, you're saying, oh, well, look, somebody says that
the leaks were all targeted to make sure that CJ Carr it was a challenge. It was part of the final challenge. I have to believe
that Marcus already told CJ Carr he's got the job, and then they told the team that wasn't true.
No.
They've already told Kenny Minchie that he's got the job.
There was a lot of disinformation.
A lot of disinformation, yes. And the deeper we went with this,
yes.
It was going to be more misinformation.
Putting the team at ease. Marcus talked about how they use the nighttime meetings, even in the long days of training camp, to build camaraderie, to build connection. You need extra time to build connection for sure. The last thing you want is people choosing up sides. And the longer it went on, you could certainly see, as you can talk all about the brotherhood, but nothing divides the locker room faster than a quarterback controversy or uncertainty. Mm-hmm. And so it felt like, again, we're guessing because we saw stretch in 4 periods,
total guess,
a few times. Besides once we got into August, but didn't it feel like they were going to keep the polls open until CJ Carr had edged in front with his performance? I'm not saying it was rigged, but you certainly got the sense that they were not going to be in any hurry to stop the voting and stop the deliberation until CJ had every opportunity to live up to, again, what was sensed out on the veranda way back in early 22. And that's a vision that you bank on. That's a vision you don't come off very easily. He's going to get multiple opportunities, multiple years perhaps, to prove that vision wrong.
So that's it. We're done with the quarterback controversy. Okay. Not that there was a controversy, but this is the quarterback conversation. It's CJ Carr, number 1. Kenny Minchie, number 2. We'll see where it goes August 31st at Miami. And speaking of Miami prep has unofficially started. Preseason camp ended on Sunday. They have now turned their attention to the Hurricanes August 31st down in South Florida. Gentlemen, what have we gleaned? What have we learned about this football team through preseason camp now that is in the rearview mirror?
I think the biggest thing I've learned, just going, seeing some of the practices, going through the depth chart, is just
seeing some of the stretches.
Seeing some of the stretches, yeah, is just how it's just so deep. Like this team is there's so many positions where I'm looking at it going, this name looks good, and I'm getting 2 or 3, places deep on the depth chart. That's the biggest thing I've learned. I knew there was a lot of talent on this team, but now kind of seeing it out on the field, you realize there's a lot of positions where there's a lot of depth.
In the words of the great Bobby Cremins, didn't he say, we have deep depth?
Yeah.
And they do. They've got
depth everywhere.
Yeah, it's impressive to build a roster like that in this day and age of college football, because usually a lot of these backups, it's like, okay, well, I'm not playing at Notre Dame, let me go to Tennessee or someplace, or Georgia, or even just Nebraska, something like that, like another power program. So to keep that much depth in house it's really impressive this day and age.
Miami's deep too, apparently, even though a lot of the faces are newer, so that will be challenged. The talent, it's a great matchup. It's a fascinating matchup, even as we learn some of the key principles of this one. But Carson Beck's across the way. Notre Dame fans were already imagining a scenario where it could have been Carson Beck if he hadn't been injured. It would have been Beck instead of Gunnar Stockton in the Sugar Bowl if Beck hadn't been knocked out by Texas in the SEC championship. And here it is. We'll see how that holds up. I'm really looking forward to that.
Mike's ready to give a prediction.
Let's go.
He's ready for prediction.
It's an orange out. Heads up, Mike.
Orange out.
You got your orange? You got your orange?
I'm not wearing orange.
Jackson's wearing.
I'll wear a neutral color.
Neutral.
Jackson's going to wear an orange blazer.
I'll probably wear this.
If I had one, I would wear that.
No, you would not.
He looked like he's part of the Orange Bowl committee.
Right.
He might.
Honestly, that sounds kind of like a cool orange blazer. I'd take that.
You're going to wear it to that game?
If I had one.
Really?
Go buy one.
Let's get this.
Expense it.
If a sponsor wants to come out here and give me an orange blazer, I'm not going to oppose.
Good luck with that. What was the question?
I didn't have a question. I said, you're ready to make a prediction. You're talking
no.
on Miami. We'll talk more Miami next week.
Okay.
Next Wednesday, I believe. That's when we're going to start our.
Oh, you did ask a question. You said, "What have we learned about this team?"
Well, yeah,
I'm with you.
we just talked about it.
Yeah, not a whole lot beyond the quarterback, other than
Jeremiah Love's really good.
We have other segments.
Pretty good.
Right, and wide receivers.
We've
I
learned
think they're
that,
improved.
The other thing is, how do you guys process the clips that are sent out, officially by the practice clips that are sent out where Elijah Burris is you can't cover him in those clips, and then Mike Denbrock says, he's incredibly frustrating. He doesn't get lined up right, and I'm like, well, is that Tobias Merriweather, or is this guy just generational? He's going to be like his dad. Just put him out there. He'll get open. He'll tear up a secondary. I kind of lean to the second. I think I'm looking forward to seeing what he can do as part of that 6-man likely game day rotation. But KK Smith in there as well. Micah Gilbert had a good spring or a good summer apparently after breaking his hand early in spring camp. So that was a quick U-turn for him. And we know they have Will Pauling as a captain. We're going to talk about captains too, aren't we?
Well, let's just talk about the captains right now.
All right. Segue.
There we go.
Captains were named Monday.
Monday, yeah.
All these days run together.
Yes, yeah.
There were 6 of them that Notre Dame put out on social media, just as they did when they announced CJ Carr. The 6 captains. Linebacker Drake Bowen. This one's a surprise. Defensive tackle Donovan Heinisch. Wide receiver, the aforementioned Will Pauling. Offensive guard Billy Schrouth. Safety Adon Schuler. And offensive right tackle Emil Wagner. If we were choosing captains, I would have taken Emil Wagner, Drake Bowen, Adon Schuler, Billy Schrouth, and Ashton Craig were going to be the captains that I picked. Donovan Heinisch and Will Pauling is, I wouldn't say shocking, a little surprising that a guy that's never played a game at Notre Dame. Now, again, they went back and did the same thing with Riley Leonard last year, same thing with Sam Hartman 2 years ago, a graduate transfer who's never played a game at Notre Dame. He's got to have a heck of a lot of equity built up in that locker room to be named a captain at wide receiver over the likes of Jaden Greathouse.
Yeah, that was my biggest surprise. Was I figured that if it's going to be a wide receiver, it's going to be Greathouse. So seeing Pauling's name definitely shocked me a little bit, but I get it. Graduate transfer, probably just came in, tons of experience, tons of just wisdom and everything. So it makes some sense. But you're right. That was the biggest one for me that kind of jumped off the pages. I was not expecting that.
He apparently lives in the Goog, and so
he's a Goog rat.
He's a Goog rat. And he's there at all hours, and he sleeps there sometimes. And he's more of a known quantity to the coaching staff than to his new teammates, because Mike Brown had him at both Cincinnati and Wisconsin. Mike Denbrock and Gino knew him from Cincinnati, and he's done everything else. But yeah, I was surprised too. He was a captain at Wisconsin. Here's a weird one, because I had to really look it up, and I even had to check in with Wisconsin. Wisconsin, it gives you a little indication why Luke Fickell's kind of turned that thing sideways. They had.
We got some Wisconsin.
I want to know, Will Pauling, I asked him, were you a captain in Wisconsin? Because I couldn't find it. And he goes, oh, yeah, I was. I was one of 4. And he explained it, and I wrote about the way they do it here, because you step forward and put yourself to the team, and then they announce it, and it's quite an honor. Wisconsin apparently was secret voting, and then they didn't announce it. Like, they never announced. This is amazing.
What?
Last year,
the entire season,
they did not announce it, because the guy who covers the team up there, one of the guys, I checked in with him, and he said he checked with Wisconsin, and indeed, internally, it wasn't a game captain thing. They had 4 guys. Will Pauling was a legit voted captain. They didn't release it. They talked about having a leadership council. And that's all, and that was not a good season. So that was weird, because that's generally, everybody's social media. It's not that hard to put it out there with the fancy backing and everything and get all those clicks, as you say. Wisconsin did it year by year before that. Never did it last year. But Pauling is now a 2-time captain and seems to have the goods. So I don't know if we mentioned, I feel for Ashton Craig coming back from what he did, but it would have been really hard to exclude either Wagner or Schrouth. And Wagner, especially, all the nearly 1,000 offensive snaps.
Wagner was like
Yeah.
Wagner and Bowen were Wagner, Bowen, and Schuler. Absolute locks.
Those are the guys I had written down.
So who do you feel for, or who could still be a comeback and get it next year, depending on attrition? Josh Burnham wanted it. He certainly put forward a good case for why he would like to have that responsibility. Jalen Sneed was up for the challenge. He made I think Kingston wasn't quite there because he's only in his second year. By next year, Kingston Viliamuasa, great chance to be a captain. Jaden Greathouse, didn't get to talk to here in August. We talked to Tom, wrote a great thing on him back in the spring, and not just the talent there, but this is a guy who wants that bullseye, and he's the great worker. And if you're going to pick a wide receiver, I would have figured it would have been Greathouse.
And look at what he did against Ohio State and Penn State to end the season.
And he's just got a gravity to him, I think, in anything that he says. And I was surprised that we don't see Greathouse as a captain. And
we've buried the lead. You're going to say Jadarian Price.
Jadarian Price is example number one of team before self here. Had plenty of chances, I'm sure, to go. He was not interested in leveraging his situation in the off season and ending up back in one of the Texas schools as a guy from Denison, Texas. Money's no object at those universities. He could have cashed in and still already has his degree. He accelerated his degree, but he's back to share carries at best with a Heisman Trophy candidate, and he's not. Now, sometimes they'll hold back. They did it with Jack Kaiser, I thought. Sometimes they'll hold back a captaincy one more year, a little extra carrot to get you to come back one more year. And
so that's what they're doing with Jeremiah Love.
Where
is Jeremiah Love on this list? And why isn't he on this list?
Okay, yeah, but no matter what you hold back from him, I mean, if he has the season we expect, he's not going to.
Again, I'm kidding. Jeremiah Love is gone.
He's gone. Price could come back.
He could.
Yeah.
And be the featured guy.
Yeah, and I could totally see that. So, but again, as Marcus Freeman, who I had to double check, he was never a captain at Ohio State, but everyone will look back at that era, one of the absolute leaders of that team, right there with Laurinaitis. They had a shorter list of captains at Ohio State back in those days. But as he'll tell you, you don't have to be a captain to be a leader. They expect many leaders amongst the position groups. You lead from within. No, it's not a dividing point if you don't make it. But it certainly is encouraging for them internally that so many people, even publicly, were saying, yeah, I'd like to be a captain. I think I have that leadership ability. And who's to say? I mean, 'cause sometimes captains get hurt. We've seen it. Sometimes captains aren't able to make. If Kevin Bauman's not even going to suit up a single game, he'll be leading from the side. I mean, his brothers across the way in the opener, he'll be on that sideline. ABC will be talking about that. But captains. They had plenty of choices.
And we don't know if Jeremiah Love didn't want to be a captain.
That's a good point.
Maybe he's, you know what, I just want to zero in and be the best. I'm going to channel Marcus Freeman here. I want to be the best version of myself in 2025. And for me to do that, I don't want any distractions. I don't want to be a captain.
For me to choose hard every single day, I need to just focus on the field.
See? Choose hard. Best version of himself. What do you got? What's your go-to phrase?
Challenge everything.
Challenge everything. I'm going to challenge this too.
Competitive spirit.
It was interesting that Jeremiah Love was not named a captain, so I went back and I did a little research.
Oh.
The Notre Dame football record book. In the last 10 years, gentlemen, so that's going back to 2015, how many times during a Notre Dame football season has a running back been a captain of this football team? Last 10 years.
Josh Adams?
How many seasons?
I'm going to guess 3.
Your guess is 3? Is that your final answer?
That's my final answer.
Mike Berardino?
1.
Mike Berardino wins the grand prize game. One time in the last 10 years has a running back been a captain of Notre Dame football. That happened in 2021, and it was Kyron Williams.
That's right.
And that's it.
Sorry, Kyron.
And before that, this is back when Jackson was playing with
Mesozoic era.
he was playing with the Matchbox cars. Before Kyron Williams, the last running back captain at the University of Notre Dame, 2014, Cam McDaniel. So running backs aren't necessarily odds-on favorites to be captains. You get a lot of linebackers, you get a lot of offensive linemen, maybe the occasional wide receiver or quarterback.
Mm-hmm. I also like to, that's good pull there. I should have had that in my story.
That's a journalist right there.
I'm going to add that. I'm going to update the story now.
There you go.
What I did have in the story that
Tom Noie has contributed to this
you might
story.
be able to, yes, you might be able to. You get the little ital at the end. You might be able to extend this one for me, but people are like, well, a non-quarterback transfer being named a captain like Will Pauling, has that ever happened? Well, Alohi Gilman experienced that after transferring in from Navy, but back then, Jackson, you had to sit out a year.
Really?
You had to sit out a year before you could. This was before you were still
way
at
before
Pampers.
my time.
Jackson's like, I just can't grasp that concept.
It's crazy.
Why would you do that?
Crazy.
Why would you transfer?
The idea was, I guess, that you would get a chance to maybe immerse yourself in the new community and get your academics straight, and then
academics,
and then do everything because it's quite a transition.
Student athlete.
And
yeah.
And then Gilman played 1 year, and then 19 he was a captain. So now he's in the NFL doing very well on his second contract, I believe. But it's a rarity, and but for a grad transfer, non-quarterback come in here when there's so many other options, Will Pauling must really know how to connect.
There you go.
Captains.
Okay, before we get to that our last topic, I'm going to circle back when we talked about what have we learned about this team?
Oh.
What have we not learned about this team? And listening to Marcus Freeman, I'm going to say the fact that they don't have a kicker, and I'm not counting Noah Grubbs as the kicker.
Violation.
He
said if the season started Sunday, it would be Noah Burnett.
It would be Noah Burnett but he said Noah Grubbs.
Yeah. But then
Burnett
he came back with Burnett
as the kicker. I'm not going to say I'm concerned about what the special teams are going to do, but it's got to be there as to, okay, what's this all going to look like August 31st?
Yeah,
and that goes with our guy with James Rendell too. Like
this is going to be real wonky. This is super wonky.
Yeah,
but this segment or
this segment is going to be wonky.
Okay, let's go wonky.
But the last time Notre Dame played at Hard Rock Stadium, game-winning field goal, the operation was Reno Monteforte snapping to Chris Salerno, perfect hold, Mitch Jeter, perfect kick, winner. This time it'll be Joseph Vinci snapping to Tyler Buckner, first-time holder in a game.
Quarterback Tyler Buckner.
Buckner. No, I shouldn't say first-time holder in a game because he did come out to run a fake at Georgia Tech. But he's never held for the kick. And we know from Lucy in the football, it's not always that easy. Lucy, that's from Peanuts.
Yes, I'm aware.
And
Charlie Brown, yeah.
She always pulled the football, man.
Yeah, Charlie, don't fall for it.
And then, of course, Burnett, have to believe they'll go Burnett out of the chute. But Marty Biaggi said, he said this before, he's not averse to having the inside the 50 kicker and then the long distance hope and a prayer kicker. And Eric Schmidt's got the bigger leg, no doubt about it. And if they need crazy last second attempt like they did against NIU, if they need a 60-yard attempt, it'll be Schmidt, I have to believe. If they need 52 or more, it might be Schmidt. But having seen some of and again, we don't see much, but as we chronicled, we did see some shankage and some clankage during the warm-ups.
Serious shankage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can relate off the first tee. It was one of those, and you just drop. That's a mulligan. You don't get a mulligan on Labor Day weekend on national TV. So,
have you ever hit somebody with a drive on their head, like one of James Rendell's punts hit somebody in the head that first day?
Well, I remember that. I can't believe the guy didn't react more.
He was kicking away.
He was kicking
weird.
There were weird kicks that he was doing.
I don't still see how that was.
One of them. Yeah, it was windy. And one of them, I believe, bounced backwards and wasn't down. It ended up being like a net 10 yards. But he also can boot it as far as he wants. So we've seen that. I think they'll be fine with that. But the kicking thing, the fans are definitely freaking out over the kicking thing. You can tell on social media.
Yeah, because now that they have a quarterback, what are they going to freak out about?
They are.
Let's turn the attention to the kicking
Okay, but
game.
to be fair, though,
really concerned. It's going to be Mitch Jeter, what he did down at A&M where he had kicked before. That was now Noah Burnett in his opener last year at Minnesota won the game and sent Corey Heatherman home sad, and that's what
we
he's
have
going to hope to
two Corey
do.
Heatherman references.
Yes,
look at Mike is so ready to talk about Corey Heatherman.
You want your own segment on him?
He's been on a podcast, and I'm going to listen to that later on the drive back. But Noah Burnett has made a game winner before, so. And Eric Schmidt was in high school not long ago.
What were you going to say, Jackson?
I just think I don't know. I've been a little frustrated with Notre Dame's special teams, even going back to last year. It feels like there's consistently the coolest fakes I've ever seen, the most creative play calls. But then when it comes to the basic, can you just get a punt down the field? Or there was kicking inconsistencies last season as well. It feels like the basics a lot of times get a little lost, but these great, trick play calls, gadgets are, incredible. And this season, I don't know. With the way this team is set up, the special teams does not have to be out here making being the best unit in the country. Just get the fundamentals down, get the basic punts down the field. And it's just been frustrating at points to watch someone like James Rendell not boot it just down the field sometimes, or last year the kicking inconsistencies, and now the question marks around there. It's like, can there just be some consistency?
When you talk about gadgets, did you cringe when Marty Biaggi said, if we can scheme it up right and it presents itself, we're going to put our two starting running backs back there? And I was like, yeah, what are you doing?
No,
I do not want to see Jeremiah Love going up the field with a kickoff instead of Jeremiah Love turning the corner and going 98 yards like he did against Indiana.
There is no reason they need to be.
You do not need Jeremiah Love back there.
Jeremiah Love needs to say no. Like that, you cannot be chancing him with something like that. It's
no. Look at Berardino's like, I don't know what the big deal is.
Get the ball in his hands. It's going to be harder now. I mean, again, the box is going to be loaded so many times on first and second down. I have to believe. I mean, it's guesstimation, but. You want to make a run at a Heisman, it'd be nice to have a score as a runner, a receiver, a returner. Jadarian Price has one of those against USC. And I've written the fact that, this is just don't be shocked if instead of Jabron Payne getting a chance to run a couple of little wildcat snaps, as he's done in the past here, don't be shocked if the snap goes directly to Jeremiah Love, because that's how you overload the box. There's nothing wrong with the wildcat, and he's been taught, as Jaywan Sider has explained, all of his backs have really sharpened their ability to read a defense pre-snap. And if you want to pick the right hole, I'm not saying Jeremiah's going to be tossing little jump passes, but this is a way to overload, to have more hats than they have in the box, and in short yardage. That may be this year's version of Riley Leonard being automatic on 3rd and 1, 4th and 2. Why not?
With what we saw in the spring, maybe not so much in the fall, because again we saw such very little of here, there, everywhere. Jeremiah Love caught 28 passes for 237 yards and 2 touchdowns last year. He's catching over 30 this year.
Yeah. I mean, one of the biggest takeaways I had in that first practice of fall camp was there was at least one play where they split him out wide, and you can't stop it. Like it looked like an unstoppable, 7-8 yards right there.
He took almost all the majority of his spring reps as a wide receiver. Like he did very little running back work because, again, they were tapering off for having played so deep into January last year. Jeremiah Love wasn't taking handoffs in the spring. He was working on his receiver game. So there's the wrinkle that I want to see from Jeremiah Love instead of him dropping back to receive the opening kickoff of the 2025 season.
21 personnel. I think we're going to get used to some 21 personnel.
And what is 21 personnel for people who have no idea what you're talking about?
I don't know.
You just wanted to say 21.
I know 12 personnel is 2 tight
12
ends.
is 2 tight ends.
13 is 3 tight ends.
21 is
2 backs, 1 tight end. And you don't see a lot of it, but it's 21 as you line up. But that's the beauty of it is you condense the box defensively with that, and maybe that means a linebacker's on the field instead of a safety, an extra nickel. But because Love is so versatile, you're going to split him out before the snap. They used to do it with Mitch Evans. He would be in line, and then he'd get out into the slot. Well, now you can do something like this with Jeremiah Love. And you're right, Tom. I think 40 receptions.
40?
This year. I'm giving him 40.
Wow.
I mean, this is a great outlet for you. You want to get this guy a head start.
It is.
Swing
Absolutely.
pass, screen pass. You remember the Louisville play. They kind of roll, half roll to the right and then throw back, and then he goes 40 yards for a touchdown. That sort of stuff is candy from a baby.
Mike's going with 40-plus receptions for Jeremiah Love. How many Irish players caught at least 40 passes last year? Anyone?
0.
2.
Wrong and wronger.
Mitch Evans had
3.
Oh, I was going to go with
3 Irish caught at
forget.
least 40 passes.
We can't talk about last year forever now.
We're not.
That's how I'm going to get myself off the hook. I should have all this burned into my memory.
You're like, I refuse to comment and answer anything about the 2024 season.
We're on to 25.
We're on to 25. Let's go. So, all right, we'll wrap that up because if we go into predictions and we go into the position by position depth chart, that's going to take way too much time.
It's going to take a while.
We've covered the quarterbacks. We've covered the captains. We covered a little bit of Miami. Can I get another Corey Heatherman reference?
I hope I'm saying it right.
I hope so too.
That'd be classic if we weren't.
Might be Heatherman.
Heatherman.
No, I think it's Heatherman.
It's definitely got to be.
There's going to be some. You're the broadcaster.
Yes.
Are
We
you
just have to spell
practicing your Miami pronunciations? Because there's some names on that roster now.
That's going to be a next week. I'm focusing on high school football for getting that off the ground this week. The next week is going to be the Miami pronunciations.
You're going to earn your salary with some of those pronunciations.
You guys both will have a nice long plane ride down to Florida to get all that taken care of.
I'm not helping him. He's on his own with that.
I got my camera guy.
Your camera guy.
Yeah.
He's the pronunciation.
No, he's just going to be carrying the camera.
He's the camera guy.
He's the camera guy.
So next week we come back. It is game week. I still can't believe we're gonna. It's
Me too.
a week from today. We're in game mode
Let's go.
already. You ready for game mode?
I'm ready. Let's go.
I'm ready.
Enough of the hitting each other, writing about pretend stuff.
What's your greatest memory of the 2024 season? He almost answered it.
You almost got him right there.
Next week we will talk. We'll talk about the depth chart because we will get think we'll get a depth chart.
I mean,
Yeah, we'll get a depth chart on
they said-
Tuesday.
Yeah, on Tuesday. Yeah,
We'll
probably.
get a depth chart on Tuesday. We'll pod on Wednesday. We'll talk about the depth chart. We'll talk about Miami, and then we'll do some predictions. Regular,
Cool.
I like
regular
that.
season record, offensive MVP, defensive MVP, all that good stuff.
That's a tease.
And then we will also give predictions. We will give game predictions. So I'm giving Mike Berardino an 8-day heads up.
And we'll have a special guest
And we will.
who has not been invited yet, but we will have a special guest.
It is the special guest is TBA. So we've got a lot of stuff coming Notre Dame wise. Appreciate everybody tuning in. We will see you next week, game week, for the number 5 Notre Dame Fighting Irish here on the Pot of Gold.
This has been the South Bend Tribune's Pot of Gold podcast, your home for insightful Notre Dame football coverage and analysis.